I woke up to a utility crew in police at my meter, accusing me of power theft. My HOA neighbor had vandalized it to get my solar panels removed. "Sir, can you explain why your meter seal has been severed?" The officer's question hit me like a physical blow. I'd installed my solar array with full permits, passing every inspection. But Lydia, the HOA vice president, had called them an eyesore from day one. She'd stand in her yard glaring at my roof, claiming it ruined the neighborhood's visual integrity. Her own garden was a chaotic mess of gnomes and wilting petunias, but the board always backed her. She ran our street like a fiefdom, and everyone was too afraid to object. The utility technician pointed at the small, sliced metal seal. "Tampering. It's a fire hazard and illegal. We may have to disconnect your service until this is resolved." My stomach churned. Lydia stood on her porch, phone raised, recording with a triumphant smirk. She fake whispered loud enough to hear. "Some people think they're above safety codes." I went to the board that evening. The room was frosty. I explained my permits, my inspections, that I didn't even own the tool to cut a utility seal. The treasurer shrugged. The secretary examined her cuticles. Lydia leaned forward. "He's always out there at odd hours, maintaining things." "Maintaining? I'm an accountant. I balance spreadsheets, not high-voltage connections." The board voted to look into it. No help. Neighbors avoided my eyes. Fear of Lydia's retaliation was a stronger force than truth. I went home furious, standing in my kitchen lit by the very panels she despised. I made a decision. If words failed, evidence would not. My father always said, when someone tries to bury you, hand them a shovel. I needed to hand Lydia the shovel. That night, I installed 2 discrete cameras, one under the eave aimed at my meter, one nestled in my azalea bush. Motion alerts to my phone. I told no one. I went about my routine. Lydia walked her yappy terrier past my house, side-eyeing the meter with theatrical suspicion. On the second night, at 1:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. The feed showed a figure in a dark hoodie and distinctive bright green gardening clogs, Lydia's trademark. She crouched by my meter, used a small tool, and with a faint snick, severed the seal. She then placed the cut seal into a Ziploc bag and tucked it into her pocket, turning her face directly toward the hidden lens. Clear as day, it was her. A cold, settled calm washed over me. "Got you." I saved the footage in triplicate. Before sunrise, I emailed the Utilities Fraud Division and the city building inspector with the video attached. Subject: evidence of criminal meter tampering. The next morning, I mowed my lawn. Lydia came out with her coffee. "I do hope you understand regulations exist for a reason," she chirped. "Absolutely, they really do." She didn't like my tone. By midday, 2 utility trucks and a city inspector's car rolled up. Lydia rushed out, all saccharine concern. "Officials, thank goodness you're here. I've been so worried about the safety hazard next door." The inspector, a no-nonsense man with a badge, said, "We're here regarding documented tampering, ma'am." She pointed dramatically at my meter. The inspector turned to me. I handed him a thumb drive and printed stills. He watched the clip on his tablet. His eyebrows climbed. He looked slowly from the screen to Lydia. "Ma'am," he said, his voice flat, "step away from the meter box, please." Lydia blinked rapidly. "What do you mean?" The tech inspected my meter, then nodded to the inspector. "Seal's been cut and replaced recently. Matches the video." The inspector then walked to Lydia's own meter, just a few feet away. He peered at it, then called the tech over. "Check this one." The tech examined it. "Identical tool marks, and this seal is the wrong series for this district." He looked at Lydia. "Where did you get this replacement seal?" She flushed bright red. "I have no idea what you're talking about." The tech then pointed to her hedge. "What's that?"
He reached in and pulled out the same Ziploc bag from the video containing my original severed seal. The inspector held it up. "Ma'am, you're in possession of stolen utility property, and we have video of you vandalizing your neighbor's meter. This is a major safety violation." Lydia tried to laugh, a brittle sound. It was a misguided joke. The inspector didn't smile. "We're disconnecting your service immediately for a mandatory safety investigation." The tech opened her panel and pulled the meter. The audible clunk echoed in the sudden quiet. Lydia's house went dark. Her air conditioner died mid-whir. Her dog started barking frantically. "You can't do this! I'm on the board!" "You're not on my board," the inspector replied. A neighbor watering his lawn let out a loud whoop. Another started clapping slowly. Phones were everywhere, recording her meltdown. The police, the same officers from the initial visit, arrived. The inspector handed them the evidence. The lead officer gave me a long, considering look, then turned to Lydia and said, "Ma'am, you're being cited for criminal tampering with utility equipment and possession of stolen property." As the officer took my statement, Lydia tried to rally the gathering crowd. "He set me up. It's a frame job." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, the neon green clogs are fairly distinctive." Someone in the crowd snorted with laughter. For 48 hours, Lydia lived in a silent, powerless house. No internet, no climate control, a fridge full of spoiling food. The board held an emergency meeting without her. They voted to fine her, remove her from her position, and cover any legal costs I incurred. The utility billed her for the emergency disconnection and reconnection. The city mandated she attend a safety course. Her community service was directing traffic at a school crossing for 2 weekends, wearing a fluorescent vest as neighbors honked and waved. Meanwhile, my panels hummed. My lights stayed on. Neighbors began to stop by, offering lemonade and sharing stories they'd been too afraid to tell. A quiet, genuine peace returned to the street. Lydia still walks her dog, but she looks at my meter like a coiled snake. I just smile and tend to my garden. Rules are for everyone, after all. If you appreciate a story where covert evidence defeats blatant corruption, show your support. Hit that like button, and for more tales of clever justice, subscribe to Trending Tales Pulse. Sometimes the best way to fight a vandal is to give them enough rope and a high-definition camera.